Everyone knows social media influences you, but I think we should be asking how much? How much does social media affect our minds, our choices, what we focus on, and how does that affect our free will? Since I quit social media 3 years ago, I've been asking this question a lot, and I'm making this video as a conclusion. And I think social media creates you by slowly shifting your values, beliefs, and even your life trajectory. And it does so using the following 3 principles. Number 1, internalizing beliefs and connecting them to your identity. The way social media targets what you're already predisposed to makes you more open to adopting new beliefs, and most importantly, connecting them with your identity. For example, hustle culture is a social norm that most people hold some form of, and on social media, hustle culture is glamorized, promoted, and defined with specific regimes, making it enticing to apply to the average person. Most will start internalizing new beliefs about their productivity, mindset, and success based on what they've been presented with, such as the popular belief that success is mainly a mindset problem. But when you internalize beliefs like this, you will immediately apply it to yourself and therefore believe your downfalls are proof that you have a bad mindset. This internalized belief then creates a standard within yourself to have a good mindset. What's happened here very rapidly and naturally is that you've connected having a good mindset and therefore being productive to your desired identity. Now, productivity in general is something to look up to, but also something to be insecure about. This then means you don't really allow yourself to be insecure and exist outside of productivity. Being anything outside of it will feel dangerous, like a violation to your identity, your purpose, the best way to live, or even like the truth of the world. This identity and worldview slowly limits your acceptable choices and even determines your life path in some cases from what you believe will lead to success, stability, and happiness. And the key point is that this doesn't just apply to hustle culture or productivity. This also applies to attractiveness, being masculine or feminine, being extremely fit or healthy, even being black-pilled. It is any worldview or belief that is internalized for the function of determining self-worth through comparison with others, which social media obviously propagates. It's saying, I'm a finance bro, I'm that girl, I'm a Pilates princess. Those identities aren't bad, but believing that the identity gives you self-worth is harmful to you. The standards are harmful because then your self-worth is contingent upon fitting into those standards and identity, and you'll inevitably form choices that make you feel like you have self-worth, limiting what's acceptable to you. So really, you're living for self-worth rather than self-expression over time. And yes, this doesn't just happen on social media, but applies to all social influence. But now that you know the potential harm of social influence, let me tell you how social media makes it 10 times worse. Number 2, how social media is structured. Social media also gets you emotionally attached to your identity and how others perceive it. On social media, your identity is something to be curated. You post the best photos, videos, and try to appear in a certain way. And everyone else does the same thing as well. It's the norm. Consequently, this makes you view other creators and compare yourself to them, their looks, accomplishments, wealth. Social media makes you think about yourself in relation to others, and you start to form judgments, and therefore more personal standards to live up to. More social influence. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we also know social media is designed to be addictive and easy to access, causing you to be on it daily, likely for hours at a time. That means the same ideas, same social influences and structures, same comparisons will be repeated to you over and over, which is essentially what your brain needs to implement them. You're going to internalize them. Sheer repetition alone is so strong that it may have influenced millions to vote in a certain way via the infamous Cambridge Analytica scandal. If you don't already know, in the 2010s, Facebook user data belonging to 87 million people was used to create psychological profiles with the purpose of sending highly targeted political advertising, most notably for Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Users were segmented by their big five personality traits and ideological stances, and were shown ads accordingly. Supporters were shown positive visuals with polling station information, and swing voters were shown negative visuals about his opponent, Hillary Clinton. Mark Zuckerberg eventually apologized for the data breach, and Facebook was fined $5 billion by the Federal Trade Commission due to its privacy violations. In this light, I don't think algorithms just have influence, but control. If advertisements are effective at influencing people's choices on a large scale simply through repetition, just imagine how regular influencers are changing your choices and beliefs at a subconscious level. They don't just have repetition, they have emotional influence, where algorithms also push content that makes people emotionally heightened or reactive. They have persuasiveness, they can make logical arguments, but also the content you're going to be seeing is stuff you're already predisposed to and likely to agree with, making them even more influential. You must at least see it with trends, everyone rushing to buy $100 Labubus, people fighting for Hydro Flasks, then Stanleys, then Starbucks Bear Cups. Because consumerism is so glamorized on social media, that's one belief or idea that you can obviously see the effects of. It makes you wonder, at what point did these people lose their free will to be so influenced to buy those things? But to me, being a consumer isn't as bad as influencing your perception on reality, your beliefs, and mental structures. People talk about the woke mind virus or the right-wing pipeline, but both of them are dangerous. If we can acknowledge through these sometimes ironic phrases that social media can influence you so much that your ideological stance can flip, why aren't we alarmed about how social media can influence your identity and major personal life decisions? Number 3 are cognitive biases. We as humans also just have a lot of biases that make us really susceptible to influence. For example, social proof. When we see thousands of other people agreeing with a post, we're just going to assume the post is right and keep scrolling. This means if you see thousands of people making fun of a woman proposing, you're likely going to internalize that belief and see it as an unspeakable social taboo. And confirmation bias. When we want to prove a certain idea that we hold, we're not going to interact with or at least place less importance on opposing information or evidence. This looks like somebody believing that another person is brainwashed by a belief system and just not accepting any evidence or reasoning. Both of these biases make us rapidly implement ideas from social media and emotionally attach them to our identities. Unlike in real life, where there may be a small group of people trying to convince you of something, social media has millions in likes and comment sections. And with echo chambers on social media, you're only going to be seeing things you really agree with and grow your current worldviews. And on the off chance you do escape it, you're likely going to reject it immediately because of confirmation bias. Our human nature. These biases are what solidify changes within ourselves that social media creates. Now for counter arguments, I also want to address the fact that some content doesn't have any social messaging. Although most content does, it's just hard to see sometimes. Even AI slop has social messaging as it normalizes the use of AI and content creators making money off of it. But there is a lot of content out there that is just nice to consume. A fan edit of your favorite show, a deep dive into BoJack Horseman, a beautiful song played on piano. Like, I'm not saying content is bad. The interpretation of the content is usually unhealthy. And especially when left unchecked constantly, you can be influenced in ways you aren't aware of and that you don't really want. I also think that sometimes social influence can actually be used to aid self-expression rather than limit it. For example, if you've been wanting to change your hairstyle and you see a really nice inspiration picture on Pinterest, then that picture actually aided in your self-expression. But to be honest, I think there's still too many factors no one can ever consciously consider. Especially if you consume lots of short-form content, you will be influenced by it. Even if it's brain rot with no social messaging, you'll still change. Because underneath everything, The main problem is not just that you're losing free will and control over your mind. It's that social media limits your natural self-expression 100% of the time, no matter what content you consume. Whether it's through decreasing your attention span, taking time from things you actually value, or literally changing your interests. Social media limits you from living as you want to naturally, as a unique human being with unique DNA, history, and thought patterns. Like, I know it's funny. Content is funny. But at the end of the day, you need to decide intentionally, would I rather laugh and be limited as a result, likely unsatisfied in the end, or would I rather smile, looking at the things that I've intentionally done? To review, when internalizing social structures, we also connect them to our identities. This creates standards we feel the need to live up to, and we constantly self-evaluate if we meet them as a result. This creates feelings of insecurity, loss of purpose, or even identity collapse if we ever want to step out of those standards. And it's these negative emotions that limit the person we can become. When standards are rigid and identity defining, we can't take certain life paths, act, feel, or even think in ways that don't align with those standards and ideals. This is most commonly seen in productivity and looks maxing circles that heavily influence what you value and how you want to be perceived. The way social media is structured exacerbates this problem by being addictive, easy to access, and most importantly, makes you think about yourself in relation to others. Repetition and echo chambers also strengthen previously implemented ideas. Finally, our mental biases reinforce everything we've learned off social media, creating an endless loop of straying from self-expression further and further, leading us to losing our free will. But really, losing your ability to self-express as you naturally would. Changing from social media is not an if, but a when. It takes over your mind. It may not be in a big, noticeable way yet, but social media is an advanced, optimized system of implementing social influence and ideas while limiting who you can become. For example, do you know anyone that lives solely for how other people perceive them? Maybe they live solely for success and status or attractiveness. You become a lesser version of that with social media. Overall, it's my personal preference to be as aware of my influences as possible. Not necessarily being scared of losing my free will. This really means focusing on intentionality and crafting standards of my own. I talk about this a lot on my channel, so if you're interested in hearing more about it, subscribe, or if you heavily disagree with me and hate everything I've said, leave me a comment. Or ask me while I'm live streaming, so that maybe I'll struggle to answer and you can laugh at me. Obviously, nobody is ever going to be 100% rid of influence. That's just impossible. But I think striving for intentionality is way better than just allowing yourself to be pulled this way and the other by invisible strings. Also, I haven't done this in a while, but song recommendation, Where's My Phone by Mitski. It just recently came out and it's very relevant. Her album drops in 30 days. Promo to Mitski, I guess.